Marcus Wellington III stood in the marble foyer of his penthouse, adjusting his Patek Philippe watch as he prepared for what had become an uncomfortable ritual. At 32, he built a tech empire worth billions, but money had taught him a harsh lesson. It attracted the wrong kind of people. Trust had become his most precious commodity, rarer than any asset in his portfolio. The morning sun streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows, casting long shadows across the Italian leather furniture. Marcus had been burned before, by friends who borrowed and never repaid, by romantic partners who loved his bank account more than him, by employees who embezzled thinking he wouldn't notice. Each betrayal had added another layer to the walls around his heart. That's why he'd started testing people. It wasn't something he was proud of, but after his ex-fiancée had stolen $250,000 from his accounts and his former business partner had attempted to sell company secrets, Marcus had learned to be cautious. The test was simple. He'd pretend to take an urgent phone call, leave cash conspicuously on a table or desk, and see what happened. Most people failed. They'd pocket the money, or at best, ignore it entirely, later claiming they had noticed several $100 bills sitting in plain sight. His new housekeeper, Elena Ramirez, had been working for him for 3 weeks. She was 28, efficient, and refreshingly straightforward. Unlike previous staff who'd been intimidated by his wealth, Elena treated him with polite professionalism, but never servility. She was a single mother, he'd learned from her employment file, raising a 3-year-old daughter named Sophia. Marcus had seen them together once, when Elena had to bring Sophia to work due to a childcare emergency. The little girl had been remarkably well-behaved, sitting quietly in the service kitchen with coloring books while her mother worked. Something about the way Elena had smoothed her daughter's dark curls, whispering encouragement, had stirred something unexpected in Marcus's chest, a longing for the kind of uncomplicated love he'd never known. But sentiment couldn't override caution. Today would be Elena's test. He'd left $500 in crisp bills on his home office desk, arranged just carelessly enough to look accidental. Elena was scheduled to clean that room this morning. Marcus positioned himself in the adjacent library, door slightly ajar, where he could observe without being seen. Right on schedule, he heard Elena's soft footsteps approaching. She pushed a cleaning cart, humming quietly, a Spanish lullaby, he thought. But today there was an additional sound, the patter of small feet. Marcus frowned. Sophia was here again. He peered through the crack and saw the little girl, all chubby cheeks and bright eyes, wearing a tiny yellow dress with white flowers. Her dark curls were pulled into 2 poofy pigtails. "Remember, mi amor," Elena said softly, kneeling to her daughter's level. "You must be very quiet. Mr. Wellington is working, and we cannot disturb him." Sophia nodded solemnly, her little hand clutching a worn stuffed rabbit. "I'll be quiet like a mouse, Mommy." Elena kissed her daughter's forehead before standing and beginning her work. She started with the bookshelves, carefully dusting each shelf with meticulous attention. Sophia settled in the corner with her rabbit and a picture book, true to her word about being quiet. Marcus checked his phone, preparing to execute his test. But then Sophia spoke up. "Mommy, I'm thirsty." Elena paused, glancing at her daughter with concern. "Can you wait just a few minutes, baby? I'll get you water very soon." "Okay, Mommy." Sophia returned to her book, and Marcus felt an unexpected pang of guilt. The child was clearly trying so hard to be good. He shook off the feeling. This was business. He needed to know if Elena was trustworthy. Marcus pulled out his phone and dialed his own number from his secondary phone, letting it ring. He answered loudly. "Hello?" "Yes, speaking." He made his voice carry, ensuring they'd hear him. "What? A problem with the Tokyo servers? How bad is it?" Through the crack, he saw Elena glance toward the library, then resume dusting, clearly trying not to eavesdrop. "I need to see those diagnostics immediately," Marcus continued his fictional conversation. "Pull up the remote access. I'm heading to my computer now." He paused dramatically. This could cost us millions if we don't fix it in the next hour. He strode out of the library, making sure to pass the office door where Elena could see him, phone pressed to his ear, his face arranged in an expression of intense concern. He walked briskly down the hallway toward his bedroom, still talking animatedly to nobody. No, I don't care what time it is in Tokyo. Wake up the entire team. Marcus entered his bedroom and closed the door, then immediately doubled back silently, positioning himself where he could observe the office. His heart pounded, not with excitement, but with a weary sort of resignation. He wanted Elena to pass this test. He genuinely liked her. But experience had taught him that disappointment was more reliable than trust. Elena continued cleaning, now working on the windows. Sophia had abandoned her book and was standing, stretching her little arms above her head. She wandered over to her mother, tugging on Elena's uniform. "Mommy, my legs are tired." "I know, sweetheart," Elena whispered, her voice strained. "Just a little longer, okay? Then we'll go home, and you can rest." Marcus felt that guilt again, sharper this time. Elena worked hard. He'd noticed she often stayed late to ensure everything was perfect. And here she was, bringing her 3-year-old to work because she probably couldn't afford last-minute childcare. He paid her well, he thought, but perhaps not well enough. Sophia wandered away from her mother, exploring the office with a child's curiosity. She stopped at the desk, her eyes landing on something. Marcus's breath caught. The money. Sophia reached up on her tiptoes, her small fingers grasping the bills. Marcus watched, his jaw tight. This was it, the moment that would reveal everything. Would Elena notice? Would she take it? Would she pretend not to see? But Sophia wasn't giving the money to her mother. The little girl turned, bills clutched in both hands, and began walking. Not toward Elena, but toward the door, toward the hallway, toward where Marcus had disappeared. "Sophia." Elena called softly, noticing her daughter leaving the room. "Where are you going, baby?" Marcus quickly retreated to his bedroom, leaving the door open just enough to see out. His pulse quickened, though he wasn't sure why. This was just a test. Just another test. He heard the soft pad of tiny feet approaching. Then Sophia appeared in his doorway, slightly out of breath, her face flushed with the effort of her mission. Marcus stood frozen as the 3-year-old entered his bedroom, both small hands clutching the money to her chest. Her big brown eyes found him immediately, and her face broke into a relieved smile that transformed her whole expression into pure sunshine. "You left your money, Daddy." The word hit Marcus like a physical blow. Daddy. She'd called him Daddy. Sophia toddled toward him with the determined gait of a child on an important mission, her yellow dress swishing around her chubby legs. She held out the bills to him, her little arms extended as far as they could reach, the money slightly crumpled now from her tight grip. "You left it on the desk," she continued earnestly, her voice carrying that distinctive lisp of early childhood. "Mommy says we must always be careful with money, because it's important. You shouldn't leave it behind." Marcus couldn't move, couldn't speak. His throat had closed up entirely, and his eyes burned with a sensation he barely recognized. When was the last time he'd cried? Years. Maybe decades. He slowly crouched down to Sophia's level, and she stepped closer, pressing the bills into his hands. Her fingers were sticky, probably from the juice box she'd had earlier, and slightly damp. As she transferred the money to him, she patted his hands reassuringly, the way a parent might comfort a worried child. "It's okay," she said with the utmost seriousness. "I found it for you. You don't have to be worried anymore." "Sophia." Elena's voice came from the hallway, tight with panic. "Sophia, where did you?" Elena appeared in the doorway and froze. Her face went pale as she took in the scene, her daughter standing before Marcus. Marcus crouched down holding the money, both of them locked in a moment that seemed suspended in time. "Mr. Wellington, I am so sorry." Elena rushed forward, her words tumbling out in a mixture of English and Spanish. I turned my back for 1 second. I didn't know she left the room. She knows better than to. Sophia, come here right now. But Sophia didn't move. She was looking at Marcus with concern now, her little brow furrowed. Daddy, why are your eyes wet? Marcus realized tears were streaming down his face. He couldn't remember the last time he'd cried, and now he couldn't stop. This child, this innocent, pure-hearted child, had just shattered every cynical defense he'd built around himself. She'd called him Daddy.
Twice now.
Marcus's voice cracked. He cleared his throat and tried again. I'm okay, sweetheart. Thank you for returning my money. That was very honest of you. Sophia beamed, clearly proud of herself. Then she did something that completely undid him. She threw her small arms around his neck and hugged him tight, her face pressed against his shoulder. You're welcome, Daddy, she whispered. Mommy says we should always help people when they need it. Marcus's arms came up automatically, gently holding the small body against his chest. She smelled like baby shampoo and something sweet, maybe fruit snacks. She was so tiny, so trusting, so completely without guile or agenda. When was the last time anyone had hugged him without wanting something? Sophia, please. Elena was beside them now, her voice strained with mortification. You need to let go of Mr. Wellington. Come here right now. But Mommy, he said, Sophia said, not releasing her grip. When I'm sad, you hug me. So, I'm hugging Daddy, because he's sad. Sophia, he is not. Elena struggled with the words, her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. She switched to Spanish, speaking quickly. Mi amor, Mr. Wellington is not your daddy. You cannot call him that. It's not appropriate. Sophia finally pulled back, looking between her mother and Marcus with confusion. But he looks like a daddy. And he's nice. And he lives in this big house all alone. I think he needs a family. The simple logic of a 3-year-old cut through everything. Marcus let out a sound that was half laugh, half sob. The child wasn't wrong. He did live in this enormous penthouse alone. He did need a family, though he'd never admitted it to himself. Elena gently but firmly took Sophia's hand, pulling her away from Marcus. I am so deeply sorry, Mr. Wellington. This is completely unprofessional. It will never happen again. I will arrange for childcare immediately, and Sophia will not come to work with me anymore, and I apologize for any. Stop. Marcus stood, wiping his eyes with the back of his hand. He was still holding the money in his other hand, the money he'd left as a test, as a trap. The realization of what he'd done made him feel sick. Please, just stop. Elena fell silent, but her body was rigid with tension. She was expecting to be fired, Marcus realized. She thought this was the end of her job, and given how hard she worked, how much pride she took in her work, she probably desperately needed this position. I need to tell you something, Marcus said slowly. And I need to be honest, even though it's going to make me look like a terrible person. He gestured to the money in his hand. This wasn't an accident. I left it there on purpose. It was a test. Elena's eyes widened. A test. I've been hurt before. Stolen from. So, I test people to see if they're honest. Marcus felt the shame of it fully now, seeing his actions through Sophia's innocent eyes. I staged that phone call. I left this money where you'd see it during cleaning. I was watching to see what would happen. Elena's face went through several expressions, confusion, hurt, and then anger. You were testing me? Like I'm some kind of criminal? I test everyone, Marcus said, though he knew it was no excuse. Staff, dates, friends. It's how I protect myself. From what? From people who work hard for you? Who treat your home with respect. Elena's voice rose slightly, and she seemed to catch herself, glancing down at Sophia. She took a breath and continued more calmly. Mr. Wellington, I have cleaned your home for 3 weeks. I have never taken so much as a pen. And you think I would steal money? I didn't know, Marcus said quietly. That's why I had to test you. Well, I hope you learned what you needed to know, Elena said stiffly. She was fighting tears now, Marcus could see. Though I suppose you learned more about my daughter than about me. She's the one who returned your money. I didn't even see it. She called me Daddy, Marcus said, and his voice broke again. The anger seemed to drain from Elena's face. I'm sorry about that. Her father isn't in the picture. He left when I was pregnant. Sophia has never had a father figure, and sometimes she. Elena trailed off, swallowing hard. She calls men she likes daddy sometimes. The mailman, the grocery store clerk. I try to correct her, but she doesn't understand why she can't have what other children have. Marcus looked down at Sophia, who was watching the adults with worried eyes, sensing the tension even if she didn't understand it. Her little hand was still in her mother's, but she was clutching her stuffed rabbit tighter now, a security gesture. Why did she bring it to me? Marcus asked. Instead of to you? Elena's expression softened. Because she thought you needed it. Sophia has a very big heart. She's always trying to take care of others. She gives her lunch to children at daycare who forget theirs. She shares her toys with kids who have none. Elena's voice thickened with emotion. She's teaching me how to be a better person, honestly. Marcus crouched down again, coming eye level with Sophia. Can I talk to you for a minute, Sophia? The little girl nodded, though she pressed closer to her mother's legs. That was very kind of you to bring me the money, Marcus said gently. Your mother is right. You have a very big heart. But I need to tell you something important. I left that money there on purpose. Do you know what a test is? Sophia nodded. Like when the doctor looks in my ears? Sort of. I was testing your mommy to see if she was an honest person. But that was wrong of me. Your mommy is very honest, and I should have trusted her without testing her. Do you understand? Sophia thought about this seriously. Did she pass the test? She didn't need to take it, Marcus said. That's what I'm learning. Some people are just good, and we should trust them to be good. Mommy is the goodest, Sophia declared. She works very hard and she's always tired, but she still plays with me and reads me stories and makes me breakfast every day even when she has a headache. Marcus felt something crack open inside his chest. This child had just painted a picture of her mother's life in a few simple sentences, a picture of sacrifice, exhaustion, and unconditional love. And what had he done? Set a trap for a woman who is already struggling, already working harder than anyone should have to. He stood again, facing Elena. I owe you an apology. A real one. What I did was unfair and insulting. You've been nothing but professional and trustworthy, and I treated you like a suspect instead of a valued employee. Elena's jaw was tight. Is this how you treat all your staff? Or just the ones you think might be desperate enough to steal? The accusation stung because it was accurate. I've tested everyone, Marcus admitted. But you're right. It's wrong. It says more about my problems than about anyone else's character. You're very rich, Sophia piped up, still trying to understand the adult conversation. Mommy says you have more money than anyone she's ever met. So, why do you need to worry about this much? She gestured to the bills in Marcus's hand. That's a very good question, Sophia, Marcus said. He looked at Elena. May I answer her honestly? Elena hesitated, then nodded slightly. Marcus sat down on the edge of his bed, bringing himself to a less intimidating height for the child. Sophia, after a moment, walked over to stand in front of him, her curiosity overcoming her wariness. When you have a lot of money, Marcus began, some people start to like you just because of the money, not because of who you are. They pretend to be your friend, but really they just want your money. It's happened to me many times, and it made me sad and angry. So I started testing people to find out if they were real friends or fake friends. Sophia nodded slowly, processing this. That sounds lonely. The simplicity of her observation hit him hard. It is lonely. Is that why you live in this big house all by yourself? Yes. That's very sad, Sophia said matter-of-factly. Then she brightened. But you don't have to be lonely. You could have friends over for dinner. Mommy and I have dinner together every night, and we're never lonely. Sometimes we watch a movie too if I was very good. Marcus found himself smiling despite everything. What's your favorite movie? Moana? Sophia said immediately. Because she's brave and she helps people and she has a funny chicken. I've never seen it, Marcus admitted. Sophia's eyes went wide with shock. Never? But it's the best movie ever. You have to see it, Daddy. You absolutely have to. Sophia, Elena said gently, remember what we talked about. Mr. Wellington is not your daddy. Sophia's face fell. But why not? I like him. And he needs someone to take care of him because he's all alone. And he has a nice smile when he's not crying. Marcus felt his throat tighten again. You know what, Sophia? I would be honored if you wanted to call me that. If it's okay with your mom, of course. He looked up at Elena, who was staring at him with a mixture of confusion and cautious hope. Mr. Wellington, you don't have to. Marcus, he interrupted. Please call me Marcus. And I'm not saying this out of pity or guilt, though I feel plenty of both right now. I'm saying it because... He paused, trying to find the right words. Because your daughter just taught me something important about trust and kindness. And because I think I've been wrong about a lot of things. Elena's defenses were still up, but Marcus could see them wavering. What exactly are you saying? I'm saying I'd like to start over. Not as employer and employee, but as, I don't know, as people who could be friends. As someone who could be in your daughter's life, if you'd allow it. Marcus ran a hand through his hair, frustrated with his inability to articulate what he was feeling. I'm not explaining this well. You like us? Sophia asked directly. Yes, Marcus said without hesitation. I like you very much. And you won't test Mommy anymore? Never again. I promise. Sophia seemed satisfied with this. She turned to her mother. Mommy, can we be his friend? Please? He needs friends, and we're very good at being friends. Elena's eyes were shining with unshed tears now. Baby, it's not that simple. Mr. Marcus is a very busy, important person. He has his own life. A lonely life, Sophia pointed out. He said so. Marcus stood up and faced Elena directly. She's right. I am lonely. I have money and success and all the material things anyone could want, but I don't have what you two have. I don't have love. I don't have trust. I don't have someone who'd return my money just because it's the right thing to do, expecting nothing in return. That's just basic decency, Elena said quietly. You'd be surprised how rare basic decency is in my world, Marcus replied. Your daughter showed me more kindness and trust in 5 minutes than most people have shown me in years. She didn't see a billionaire or a boss or a test. She just saw someone who looked sad and needed help. She has a gift for that, Elena admitted, her voice soft. She looked down at her daughter with such love that Marcus felt it like a physical ache. Sometimes I think she's wiser than all of us. Mommy, my legs are still tired, Sophia said, as if suddenly remembering. Can I sit down? Of course, baby. Elena started to lead her toward the door, but Sophia had other ideas. She walked over to Marcus's bed and climbed up on it with some effort, her little legs kicking as she pulled herself up. Once there, she arranged herself cross-legged, setting her stuffed rabbit in her lap. This is a very comfortable bed, Daddy, she announced. Much better than the floor. Elena moved to pull her down, but Marcus held up a hand. It's fine. Really? She can sit there. An awkward silence fell. Marcus and Elena stood facing each other, Sophia between them like a small bridge across a wide gulf. The morning sun had shifted, now illuminating Sophia on the bed, making her look almost ethereal in her yellow dress. I should finish my work, Elena finally said. I still have 3 rooms to clean and… Take the day off, Marcus interrupted.
What?
Take the day off. Paid, of course. You've been working hard for weeks without a break, and Sophia clearly needs rest. He glanced at the little girl, who was already looking drowsy, her head nodding forward. Actually, take the rest of the week off. You both deserve it. Elena shook her head. I can't accept that, Mr. Marcus. You pay me to work, and I need to fulfill my duties. You've done more for me today than months of cleaning ever could, Marcus said. You showed me I'd become someone I don't want to be. Someone who tests people instead of trusting them. Someone who's so focused on protecting his money that he's forgotten how to connect with human beings. He walked to his desk and pulled out his checkbook, writing quickly. He tore off the check and held it out to Elena. She took it reluctantly, then gasped. This is $10,000. It's a bonus, Marcus said. For being honest. For raising an incredible daughter. For teaching me something I desperately needed to learn. I can't accept this. Elena tried to hand it back, but Marcus stepped away. You can and you will. Use it for Sophia's education fund. Or childcare, so you don't have to bring her to work when she should be playing with other kids. Or just take her somewhere fun, Disney World or wherever 3-year-olds like to go. He smiled. I honestly have no idea what kids like. But I'd like to learn. Elena was crying now, not even trying to hide it. Why are you doing this? Because your daughter called me daddy, and I realized how much I want to deserve that title, Marcus said simply. Because she returned money to me with her tiny sticky hands and expected nothing in return. Because you've been busting your ass working for a paranoid billionaire who set traps for you instead of just treating you with respect. He paused, then added more quietly, and because I'm tired of being lonely in this big empty house. Sophia had curled up on her side now, her eyes closed, her rabbit tucked under her chin. She'd fallen asleep mid-conversation, the way children do when they feel safe and comfortable. Elena noticed and walked over to the bed, gently stroking her daughter's hair.
She didn't sleep well last night.
She had nightmares about the dark. Does she have nightmares often? Marcus found himself asking, genuinely concerned. More than I'd like. She's afraid of a lot of things, the dark, thunderstorms, being alone. The child psychologist says it's related to not having a stable father figure. Elena's voice was thick with guilt. I try to be enough for her, but sometimes one parent can't fill both roles. Marcus walked over to stand beside Elena, looking down at the sleeping child. Sophia's face was peaceful now, her long lashes resting on her round cheeks, her mouth slightly open. She looked so vulnerable, so innocent, so absolutely perfect. You're doing an amazing job, Marcus said. Anyone can see that. She's kind, honest, brave, and loving. Those are your qualities she's reflecting. She asked me last week why she doesn't have a daddy, Elena whispered. I tried to explain that her father wasn't ready to be a parent, that it wasn't her fault, but how do you tell a 3-year-old that? She cried herself to sleep asking what was wrong with her that made him leave. Marcus felt anger surge through him, anger at a man who could abandon his own child, who could leave this wonderful woman to struggle alone. There's nothing wrong with her. She's perfect. I know that.
You know that.
But try explaining it to a 3-year-old who watches all her friends at daycare get picked up by their daddies. Elena wiped her eyes. She's been calling random men daddy for about 2 months now. The pediatrician says it's normal, that she's looking for male figures to fill that role. But it breaks my heart every time. What about her father? Does he know what he's missing? Elena's expression hardened. He signed away his parental rights when she was born. Wanted nothing to do with us. Said he was too young for a child, had his whole life ahead of him. She laughed bitterly. He's probably somewhere drinking and partying, not giving us a second thought. He's an idiot. Yes, Elena agreed.
He is.
But knowing that doesn't make it easier for Sophia. They stood in silence for a moment, watching Sophia sleep. The little girl sighed softly and snuggled deeper into the bed, completely trusting, completely at peace. "Can I ask you something?" Marcus said quietly. "Of course. Why did you take this job? You must have had other options. You're educated, hardworking, competent. You could probably work in an office somewhere, have better hours, not have to bring your daughter to work." Elena smiled sadly. "The pay here is triple what I'd make in an office. And you're actually rarely home, so I can bring Sophia when I absolutely need to, like today when daycare had a pipe burst and closed suddenly. This job lets me save money for her future, give her opportunities one never had." Marcus felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders, not the burden of his wealth or his business, but something different. Something that felt right. "What if you didn't have to choose?" he asked. "What if you could have a job with good pay and good hours? What if Sophia didn't have to be quiet like a mouse in corners while you work?" Elena turned to look at him, wariness in her eyes. "What are you suggesting?" "I'm suggesting that I need help, but not the kind I've been getting. I don't need someone to clean my house. I can hire a cleaning service for that. What I need is—" Marcus struggled to find the words. "I need someone to help me figure out how to be human again. How to connect with people. How to trust." "I'm not a therapist," Elena said carefully. "No, but you're a good person. And you've raised an exceptional child. Those are qualifications no degree can provide." Marcus ran his hand through his hair again, a nervous gesture. "I'm proposing something unconventional. Be I don't know what to call it. A household manager? A family consultant? Help me transform this mausoleum into a home. In return, you'd have a generous salary, flexible hours, and Sophia would be welcome here anytime. She could have her own room, her own toys. She could turn this cold penthouse into a place where a child's laughter echoes." "You're offering this because she called you daddy," Elena said, and there was no accusation in it, just understanding. "I'm offering this because I'm 32 years old, and I've never felt as much genuine emotion as I did when that little girl looked at me with trust in her eyes and tried to help me," Marcus corrected. "I've built an empire, Elena. I can buy anything in the world. But I can't buy what you two have. I can't buy the kind of pure-hearted goodness that makes a 3-year-old return money to a stranger because it's the right thing to do." Elena was quiet for a long moment, her hand still resting on Sophia's sleeping form. "I need to think about this. It's a big decision." "Of course. Take all the time you need." Marcus gestured to the bed. "In fact, why don't you both stay here for a bit? Let Sophia nap properly. You can use any room in the house. There's a guest suite on the 3rd floor with a comfortable couch, or you can stay here if you prefer." "We couldn't possibly." "Please," Marcus interrupted gently. "Let me do this. Let me start making amends for being such a paranoid jerk." Elena smiled despite herself. "You weren't a complete jerk. Just a partial one. I'll take that as progress." Marcus moved toward the door. "I'm going to order some food. What does Sophia like? Besides fruit snacks and sticky juice boxes that leave residue everywhere." "You noticed that?" Elena laughed, a real laugh that transformed her tired face. "She loves mac and cheese. The kind from a box, unfortunately, not the fancy kind. And chicken nuggets shaped like dinosaurs, but only dinosaurs. Regular chicken nuggets are apparently not acceptable." "Dinosaur nuggets and box mac and cheese," Marcus repeated, pulling out his phone. "I have no idea where to get that, but I'll figure it out." "There's a grocery store 3 blocks away," Elena offered. "Regular people shop there." "Regular people," Marcus echoed, as if trying the concept on for size. "I don't think I've been to a grocery store in 10 years. "That's actually sad," Elena observed. "Most of my life is actually sad when I look at it from the outside," Marcus admitted. "I work 16-hour days, eat meals alone at my desk, fall asleep watching business news. I can't remember the last time I laughed. Really laughed, not the polite chuckle you give at business dinners. Sophia makes me laugh every day, Elena said softly, looking at her daughter. Even on my worst days, when I'm exhausted and worried about money and feeling like I'm failing at everything, she does something silly or says something wise beyond her years, and I remember why I keep going. You're lucky to have her. I'm lucky she is me too. We're lucky to have each other. Elena finally looked at him directly. But we've been alone for so long that I'm not sure how to let someone else in. Even someone with good intentions. I understand that more than you know, Marcus said. I've been alone by choice, protecting myself from people who might hurt me. You've been alone by necessity, protecting your daughter from a father who didn't deserve her. Different circumstances, same result, walls that are hard to break down. So, what do we do? Elena asked, and Marcus heard the genuine question in her voice. She was considering his offer, he realized. Actually considering it. We try, Marcus said simply. We be patient with each other. We communicate. We let Sophia lead the way, because apparently she has better instincts than both of us combined. Elena laughed again. That's probably true. She certainly has better judgment than I do. I went on 3 dates with her father before realizing he was completely self-absorbed. How long ago did he leave? He left the day I told him I was pregnant. Actually, he left during the conversation. Just stood up, said, I can't do this, and walked out of the restaurant. I sat there for an hour waiting for him to come back, thinking it was just panic. He never did. Elena's voice was matter-of-fact, but Marcus could hear the old hurt underneath. I haven't seen or heard from him since. He had his lawyer handle the paperwork terminating his rights. I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm not, Elena said, surprising him. If he'd stayed out of obligation, Sophia would have grown up feeling like a burden. This way, she's surrounded by love, even if it's just from me. Quality over quantity. Sophia stirred slightly, murmuring something in her sleep. Both adults froze, but she settled again, burrowing deeper into the expensive bedding. She's going to be confused when she wakes up, Elena worried. She won't know where she is. Then stay with her, Marcus suggested. I'll bring the food back. We can eat together, the 3 of us. A proper meal, like a... He trailed off, not wanting to presume. Like a family? Elena finished for him, her voice gentle. I was going to say like normal people, but yes, I suppose like a family. Marcus felt his chest constrict with an emotion he couldn't name. Hope, maybe, or fear, or both. One step at a time, Elena cautioned. Sophia gets attached easily. If you're going to be in her life, you need to be sure you'll stay. I won't let her heart get broken again. I understand. Do you? Elena's eyes were fierce now, all mother bear protection. Because she's already called you daddy twice. In her mind, you're already filling that role. If you disappear, if you change your mind, if you decide this was just a momentary impulse, she'll be devastated. I won't disappear, Marcus promised. Elena, I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, but I don't make promises I can't keep. If I commit to something, I see it through. It's how I built my company. It's how I'll build this, whatever this is between us. This is crazy, Elena said, but she was smiling. 3 hours ago, you were testing me to see if I'd steal from you. Now you want to be Sophia's father figure. How does that make any sense? It doesn't, Marcus admitted. But the best things in life rarely make sense. They just feel right. They stood there in the quiet bedroom, sunlight streaming through the windows, a 3-year-old sleeping peacefully between them, and Marcus felt something shift inside him. The walls he'd built so carefully around his heart developed cracks. Not breaking completely, that would take time, but letting in light for the first time in years. I should go get that food, he said finally. Will you be okay here? We'll be fine, Elena assured him. Though I feel strange about her sleeping in your bed. It's just a bed. And honestly, it probably hasn't seen this much genuine contentment in ever. Marcus grabbed his wallet and keys. I'll be back in 30 minutes. If Sophia wakes up before I return, there's a TV in the living room. I think I have some cartoon channels, though I've never actually watched them. Marcus. Elena called as he reached the door. He turned back.
Thank you, she said simply.
For this. For being kind to my daughter. For giving us a chance. Thank you for not calling the cops when I admitted to testing you, Marcus replied with a small smile. And for raising a daughter who sees the best in people, even paranoid billionaires who don't deserve it. He left before she could respond, closing the door quietly behind him. As he rode the elevator down to the parking garage, Marcus caught sight of his reflection in the mirrored walls. His eyes were still red from crying, his hair disheveled from running his hands through it, his designer shirt wrinkled from where Sophia had hugged him. He looked like a mess. He looked more human than he had in years. The grocery store was indeed 3 blocks away, and Marcus drew curious stares as he walked in wearing a $3,000 suit. He'd never been in this particular store, despite living in the neighborhood for 5 years. He'd always had everything delivered, everything prearranged by assistants. Finding dinosaur-shaped chicken nuggets proved more challenging than expected. He wandered the frozen food aisle, overwhelmed by the sheer variety of options. A woman in her 60s, wearing a store uniform, noticed his confusion. "Can I help you find something, dear?" "Dinosaur chicken nuggets," Marcus said, feeling slightly ridiculous. For a 3-year-old. Apparently, regular nuggets won't do. The woman laughed warmly. "Oh, I know that struggle. My granddaughter is the same way. Right over here." She led him to a specific freezer. These are the ones kids go crazy for. The T-Rex is always the favorite. Marcus grabbed 3 boxes. "Thank you so much." "Getting groceries for your daughter?" the woman asked kindly. Marcus paused, then felt himself smile.
Yes.
"Yes, I am." It wasn't technically true, but saying the words out loud felt right. Natural. Like something he could grow into. He added box mac and cheese to his cart, then wandered through the store adding items he thought Sophia might like, juice boxes, fruit snacks, cookies shaped like animals. He grabbed fresh fruit too, and some ingredients for a real dinner for Elena, who probably survived on whatever she could make quickly after exhausting workdays. At the checkout, his total came to $63 and change. The cashier, a teenage boy with acne and a bored expression, didn't react to Marcus paying with a black credit card that probably had a higher limit than the entire store's daily sales. No one here knew who he was. No one cared about his net worth. He was just another person buying groceries, and the anonymity felt like freedom. Walking back to his building carrying grocery bags, Marcus found himself noticing things he'd walked past for years without seeing. A small playground where children shrieked with laughter. A coffee shop with outdoor seating where people chatted and smiled. A flower vendor whose blooms created a riot of color on the corner. He stopped at the flower vendor. "Can I help you?" an elderly man asked in accented English. "I need flowers for a little girl," Marcus said. "A 3-year-old who likes the color yellow." The vendor's face lit up. "Ah, I have just the thing." He created a small bouquet of yellow daisies mixed with white roses, adding some greenery and wrapping it in cheerful paper. "For your daughter?" "For a little girl who deserves something beautiful," Marcus replied, which was perhaps more honest. Back in his penthouse, Marcus could hear voices as soon as he stepped off the elevator. Sophia's high, excited voice and Elena's lower, calmer tones. They were in the living room, he realized. Sophia must have woken up. He found them on the couch, Sophia in her mother's lap, both of them looking at a picture book. Sophia saw him first, and her face exploded into joy. "Daddy, you came back." She scrambled off Elena's lap and ran to him, and Marcus barely had time to set down the grocery bags before she collided with his legs, hugging him tight. He stood there, flowers in one hand, looking down at the little girl clinging to him with such trust and affection, and felt his heart crack open just a little bit more. "I brought food," he managed to say. And these are for you. He held out the bouquet. Sophia's eyes went wide. Flowers? For me? Real flowers? Real flowers for a real princess, Marcus confirmed, crouching down to hand them to her properly. Sophia took them with reverent care, bringing them to her face to smell them. They smell like happiness, she declared, and Marcus had to blink back tears again. Elena stood up from the couch, watching the scene with an expression Marcus couldn't quite read. You didn't have to buy flowers. I wanted to, Marcus said simply. Every little girl should get flowers sometimes. Mommy, look. Sophia carried the bouquet to her mother. Daddy brought me flowers that smell like happiness. Elena took the flowers, examining them with appreciation. They're beautiful, Marcus. Thank you. There's more, Marcus said, gesturing to the grocery bags. I got the dinosaur nuggets and box mac and cheese. Also possibly too many other things. I may have gotten carried away in the snack aisle. Sophia grabbed his hand, pulling him toward the kitchen. Can we cook them now? I'm very hungry. My tummy is making tiger sounds. Tiger sounds? Marcus questioned. Growling, Elena translated with a smile. She means her stomach is growling. They all moved to the kitchen together, and Marcus found himself in the unusual position of not knowing what to do in his own space. This kitchen was professionally equipped with appliances that cost more than some cars, but he'd never used any of them. His chef prepared meals twice a week, leaving carefully labeled containers in the fridge. I should probably admit I don't actually know how to make box mac and cheese, Marcus said sheepishly. Sophia's eyes went wide. You don't know how to make mac and cheese? But it's so easy. Why don't you teach me then? Marcus suggested. Sophia brightened immediately. Okay.
First, you need a pot.
Mommy, can I show Daddy where the pots are? Sure, baby. But you let the adults handle the hot stove, remember? I remember. I'll just be the boss and tell everyone what to do. Elena laughed. That's exactly what you'll do. For the next 30 minutes, Marcus Wellington III, billionaire tech mogul, took cooking instructions from a 3-year-old. Sophia stood on a step stool, directing operations with the authority of a general commanding troops. She told him how much water to use, lots and lots, when to add the noodles when the water is doing the bubble dance, and exactly how much butter and cheese powder was required. Mommy says 1 tablespoon, but I think 2 is better. The dinosaur nuggets went on a baking sheet. Make sure they're not touching or they get sad, and Elena set the timer while Marcus stirred the pasta under Sophia's watchful eye. You're doing good, Daddy, Sophia encouraged. You just need more practice. I'll practice every day if you want, Marcus found himself saying. Really? Every day? Sophia bounced on her step stool with excitement. Can we make pancakes tomorrow? Mommy makes them on special days, and tomorrow could be a special day. Elena intervened gently. Sophia, remember we talked about not assuming things? Marcus has work and important meetings. Actually, Marcus interrupted, I can't think of anything more important than pancakes tomorrow. If that's okay with your mom. Elena's eyes searched his face. Marcus, you don't have to. I want to, he said firmly. I told you, I'm tired of being alone in this big empty house. If you two want to have breakfast here tomorrow, I'd be honored. Yay! Sophia cheered. Did you hear that, Mommy? We're having pancakes with Daddy tomorrow. Elena opened her mouth, probably to correct the Daddy reference again, but Marcus shook his head slightly. It's okay, he mouthed. She nodded slowly, though worry still creased her forehead. Marcus understood. She was protecting her daughter from potential hurt. He'd have to prove himself worthy of that trust. The timer dinged, and Sophia clapped her hands. The dinosaurs are ready. Everybody, the dinosaurs are ready. They plated the food, a meal that probably cost less than $10 total, but felt more valuable than any Michelin-starred dinner Marcus had ever eaten. They sat at his dining table, which usually hosted business dinners and contract negotiations, and Sophia said grace. Thank you, God, For this food, and for mommy, and for daddy who bought me flowers, and for the dinosaurs that taste yummy.
Amen.
Amen, Elena and Marcus echoed. Sophia ate with the enthusiastic mess of a 3-year-old, getting cheese sauce on her face and her dress. She told them a long, complicated story about her daycare friend who had a pet goldfish named Sparkles, who apparently could do tricks, though Marcus suspected the tricks were embellished. He found himself laughing. Actually laughing. Deep, genuine laughter that came from somewhere he'd forgotten existed. When Sophia accidentally flung a nugget off her plate and it landed on the floor, and she looked at it and said very seriously, "The T-Rex is trying to escape," he laughed so hard tears came to his eyes. Elena laughed too, and the sound was like music. Marcus realized he'd never heard her laugh before. She'd always been so professional, so formal. Now, relaxed in his kitchen, eating boxed mac and cheese, she was radiant. After dinner, Sophia insisted on helping clean up. She carried her plate to the sink, walking slowly and carefully, tongue poking out in concentration. When she successfully delivered it without dropping it, she turned to Marcus with pride.
See?
"I'm a very good helper." "The best helper," Marcus agreed. Elena washed dishes while Marcus dried, and Sophia provided commentary on their technique. "Daddy, you missed a spot on that one. Mommy, you're getting your sleeves wet. I would be more careful if I was tall enough to reach." "When you're bigger, you can help wash dishes too," Elena told her. "When I'm bigger, I'm going to do lots of things," Sophia declared. "I'm going to be a doctor and a teacher and a princess and an astronaut." "An astronaut," Elena gently corrected. "That's what I said. Astronaut." Marcus smiled. "You can be anything you want to be, Sophia." "Mommy says that too. She says I can be anything if I work hard and am kind to people." Sophia climbed onto a kitchen chair, watching them. "Are you kind to people, Daddy?" The question made Marcus pause. "I try to be, but I haven't always done a good job. Today I learned that I need to be kinder and trust people more." "Mommy says trust is very important. She says we have to trust people to be good or nobody will ever be good." Sophia swung her legs, her voice taking on the repetitive cadence of repeating lessons she'd been taught. "And we have to give people chances. And we have to say sorry when we're wrong." "Did you say sorry to Mommy for the test thing?" "I did," Marcus confirmed. "Good."
And did you mean it?
"Yes, I meant it." "Good," Sophia repeated, satisfied. "Mommy says saying sorry only counts if you mean it." "Your mommy is a very wise woman," Marcus observed. "I know," Sophia said proudly. "She's the smartest mommy in the whole world. She knows everything." "I don't know everything," Elena protested, but she was smiling. "You know almost everything," Sophia amended. "Except you don't know how to make the TV work in Daddy's living room. Those remotes are very confusing." Marcus laughed again. "They are confusing. I have a master's degree, and sometimes I can't figure them out. Would you like me to show you how to work them? We could watch a movie." "Moana?" Sophia shouted immediately. "I told you have to watch Moana because it's the best movie ever." "Sophia, we've imposed on Marcus enough for one day," Elena started, but Marcus shook his head.
"Please, stay."
"Let me do this." He looked at Elena meaningfully. "Let me start learning how to be part of something good." Elena hesitated, then nodded. "Okay, but just the movie? Then we really do need to go home." They moved to the living room, where Marcus's enormous TV and complicated sound system usually displayed stock tickers and business news. He pulled up the streaming service and found Moana, and Sophia settled herself right in the middle of the couch, patting the spaces on either side of her. "Mommy on this side, Daddy on that side," she directed. "So I can be in the middle." Elena sat down, and after a moment, Marcus did too. Sophia immediately leaned against him, her small body warm and trusting. Elena caught his eye over Sophia's head, and he saw tears there. He mouthed, "Is this okay?" and she nodded, wiping her eyes. The movie started, and Sophia provided running commentary throughout, explaining plot points Marcus could clearly see and predicting things that were about to happen with the confidence of someone who'd watched the film dozens of times. See, now the ocean is going to choose her. Watch, Daddy.
See?
I told you. Halfway through the film, Sophia's commentary slowed, then stopped. She'd fallen asleep again, her head against Marcus's arm, her hand clutching a handful of his expensive shirt. Her breathing was deep and even, punctuated by tiny snores. She's exhausted, Elena whispered. She didn't sleep much last night, like I said. Leave her, Marcus whispered back. She's comfortable. They sat in silence, watching the movie, the sleeping child between them. Marcus couldn't remember the last time he'd felt so content. No business deals to close. No emails to answer. Just a simple moment of peace with two people who'd somehow become incredibly important to him in the space of a few hours. When the movie ended, Elena gently tried to wake Sophia, but the little girl was deeply asleep. I can carry her to my car, Elena said quietly. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have let her fall asleep here. Or, Marcus suggested carefully, you could both stay the night. I have 4 guest bedrooms. You could be comfortable, get a good night's sleep, and tomorrow morning we could make those pancakes. Elena bit her lip. Marcus, this is all moving very fast. I know. But does it feel wrong to you? No, she admitted. That's what scares me. It feels right, and I don't trust things that feel right. They usually fall apart. Not always, Marcus said gently. Sometimes things that feel right actually are right. Sometimes the universe gives us exactly what we need exactly when we need it, even if we weren't looking for it. Elena looked down at her sleeping daughter. She's going to expect this all the time. She's going to want to be here with you. If it doesn't work out, it will work out, Marcus promised. Elena, I've spent my entire adult life making calculated decisions, analyzing risk, protecting assets. This is the first time in years I've done something purely because it feels right. And I'm done analyzing it. I want this. I want to be in Sophia's life. In your life. If you'll let me. As what? Elena asked, her voice barely audible. As an employer who's unusually generous? As a friend? As... She didn't finish, but Marcus heard the unspoken question. He didn't have an answer yet. He knew what he wanted, but it was too soon to say it. Too soon to define something that had just begun. As whatever we decide to be, he answered finally. Together. As a family, if that's what feels right. As friends, if that's all you want. I'm not trying to rush you into anything. I'm just asking for a chance. Sophia is already calling you Daddy, Elena pointed out. In her mind, this is already decided. And in your mind? Marcus asked. Elena was quiet for a long moment. My mind says this is crazy. My mind says you're a billionaire who lives in a completely different world than we do. My mind says people don't change overnight, and you've been hurt and suspicious for so long that you can't possibly just decide to trust us after one test. And your heart? Marcus pressed gently. Elena looked at him, and he saw tears tracking down her cheeks. My heart says maybe we all deserve a second chance. Maybe Sophia deserves a father who'll love her. Maybe I deserve someone who looks at me like I'm worth more than my labor. And maybe you deserve people who'll love you for who you are, not what you have. Then listen to your heart, Marcus whispered. Sophia stirred between them, murmuring in her sleep. Daddy. She whispered, and both adults froze. Daddy's here now, not scared anymore. Elena pressed her hand to her mouth, suppressing a sob. Marcus felt his own tears returning. This child, this beautiful innocent child, already felt safe with him. Already trusted him enough to chase away her nightmares. We'll stay tonight, Elena decided. But Marcus, I'm going to hold you to every promise you've made today. If you hurt her, if you decide this was a mistake, if you break her heart. I won't, Marcus interrupted. I swear to you I won't. She called me daddy, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life earning that title. Elena nodded, wiping her eyes. Okay, then let's get her to bed properly. Marcus carefully scooped Sophia into his arms, and she instinctively wrapped her arms around his neck, mumbling something unintelligible but content. He carried her to the guest bedroom on the 3rd floor, Elena following with Sophia's small backpack. The room had never been used, decorated by an interior designer in neutral tones that were sophisticated but sterile. As Marcus laid Sophia on the bed, he made a mental note to redecorate. This could be her room. Yellow walls, maybe like her dress. Toys and books, and all the things a little girl should have. Elena removed Sophia's shoes and covered her with a blanket. Sophia immediately curled into a ball, clutching her stuffed rabbit that Elena had retrieved from the living room. I should stay with her, Elena whispered. She might wake up confused. The bed is big enough for both of you, Marcus pointed out. Elena nodded, sitting on the edge of the bed, then lying down next to her daughter. Sophia automatically rolled toward her mother, seeking warmth and comfort even in sleep. Thank you, Elena whispered to Marcus. For today. For understanding. For being kind to us. Thank you for giving me a chance, Marcus replied. For not walking out when I admitted to testing you. For letting Sophia into my life. For. He paused, emotion choking his voice. For helping me remember how to feel something again. He turned to leave, but Elena called his name softly. Marcus? Earlier you asked why I took this job. I told you it was for the money, and that's true. But there was another reason. What's that? The first time I came here for the interview, I saw a photograph in your office. It's small, tucked in the corner of your bookshelf. A picture of you as a child, maybe 7 or 8, with your parents. Marcus knew the photo. It was one of the few he had from his childhood. His parents had died in a car accident when he was 12, leaving him to be raised by a distant aunt who viewed him as an obligation. You looked so happy in that picture, Elena continued. Such pure joy. And then I met you, and I saw that the joy was gone. You looked successful and powerful, but sad.
So sad.
And I thought, maybe I could help. Maybe just by being kind, by doing good work, by treating you like a person instead of a paycheck, I could help bring some of that joy back. Marcus's throat was too tight to speak. He managed a nod, then left the room before he broke down completely. He made it to his own bedroom before the tears came, great heaving sobs that shook his entire body. He cried for the boy he'd been, who'd lost his parents too young. He cried for the man he'd become, so wrapped up in protecting himself that he'd forgotten how to live. He cried for all the years he'd wasted building walls instead of bridges. And he cried with gratitude for a 3-year-old girl who'd seen past his defenses and called him daddy, expecting nothing in return but love. When the tears finally stopped, Marcus washed his face and looked at himself in the mirror. The same face as always, but different somehow.
Softer.
More human. More hopeful. His phone buzzed with notifications, emails from his office, business requiring attention. He ignored them all. For the first time in his adult life, work could wait. Everything could wait. Tomorrow he'd make pancakes with a little girl who believed in him. Tomorrow he'd start learning how to be the man Sophia already thought he was. Tomorrow would be the first day of becoming someone worthy of being called daddy. But tonight, he had a family sleeping down the hall. A woman who saw his pain and wanted to help heal it. A child who'd returned his money with sticky hands and an open heart. Tonight, the big empty house wasn't empty anymore. Tonight, Marcus Wellington finally had something worth more than all his billions he had loved. The end. Epilogue. 6 months later, Sophia's 4th birthday party filled the penthouse with laughter and joy. 20 children from her daycare ran through rooms that had once echoed with silence. Elena coordinated everything with the ease of someone comfortable in her role, not as housekeeper, but as the woman Marcus loved. Sophia, wearing a princess dress in her favorite yellow, blew out the candles on her cake and made a wish. Later, when Marcus asked what she'd wished for, she whispered, "I wish that Daddy would always be my daddy and Mommy would always be happy." "Your wish already came true," Marcus whispered back, pulling her into a hug. And it had. Because sometimes the best things in life come when you stop testing people and start trusting them. When you let down your walls and let love in. When you listen to the wisdom of a 3-year-old who sees the world not as it is, but as it should be, full of second chances, unconditional love, and the simple truth that everyone deserves to be called home.